Okay, Coach Chat. I don't know, 23, I think it is. We're talking about today. We're going to talk about analysing trends in powerlifting performance. So we've talked a little bit about it before with block lengths and secondary days and all that. But I think we're just going to tie it in today with what we consider a trend in performance and how they differ and what we can do if something isn't working, type thing. So what do we consider like a trend in performance when it comes to looking at progression?
I guess we're looking at momentum to start with, whether someone's got momentum, how they've got it, or if they're losing it.
Yep.
So, we have trends in both kind of ways. We can either have an upward trend or a downward trend. Being able to analyse that trend and pick it up at the right time. You're never going to get it right away.
Which is a skill.
Yeah. Yeah. To be able to read something that's in front of you.
Yeah.
And then acknowledge it.
Yep.
Keep going. And if it happens again, that's a trend.
Yeah.
So a trend is something that happens more than once, right?
Yeah.
Can't just go straight off the bat, okay, this person's got a downward trend of this specific lift right here in this one block that we've had. And make adjustments straight off there. Let it play out first.
Yeah.
So when it happens again,
and
if it happens again, then we have a trend. So that's a trend in performance.
So what's a really good example that we could say right now that for a trend over and over again? So like you said, momentum.
Yep.
So when you're looking for a trend in performance with momentum that's going up, what are we looking for?
I guess we're always going to be looking at load on the bar.
Yep.
And also, it doesn't have to be specific load. It can be the fact that like a load is going up while RPE is staying relatively the same. Like that's a lot of momentum there.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's tons. The other way can be like someone could be reaching too far.
Yep.
RPE is going up more than the weight is going up.
Yep. So when we're saying RP is going up, we're looking at bar speed, we're looking at movement, we're looking at exertion levels, or reporting on exertion levels.
Yeah, and just overall fatigue.
Overall fatigue generation at the end of the week or during that session?
During that session, because session to session is when you're going to, we have specific trends on specific trends sessions, right? Because the body adapts. The body adapts to the microcycle that we lay out for it, and it's going to develop trends and just performance based kind of, I guess, levels on each day.
Yep. So
it's more looking at each session.
Yep.
But I'm also big on like when we lay out a microcycle, lay it out in front of you, rather than like downwards. If you lay it out sideways, you can see like, okay, because we have 7 days in a week, someone could train Saturday and Monday. Monday could have a downward trend because of something's happening on a Saturday. But a lot of people forget that because on a spreadsheet, it looks like it's down and it's just, Monday to Sunday.
Yep.
But if we put it in front of us and we put it sideways, it makes it a lot easier to kind of see. And we can write, 2 weeks or 10 days or something.
Yeah. A really good tip too with trying to find trends or looking at trends is, having the microcycle laid out really well first helps everything to look very, it helps the trends to stand out more. So like if you've got a lifter and you've got that microcycle down pat and, they put more load on the bar during the week, it's really easy to see that downward trend of performance has happened earlier in the week. Yeah. But if that microcycle hasn't been laid out well, there's going to be more noise in the more noise that's not really showing a clear trend, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what's the differences with analysing, we'll go first. When we're looking at a squat, okay, because we'll go through squat, bench, dead, what are some things that we can look at to, some tips and tricks on how to analyse squat trends?
Relative intensity, volume, how much they're doing on a day, but that's just normal programming really. Yeah. But to be able to analyse like what's happening on specific days is a lot of it's paying attention to what's going on, but also like understanding, is this happening, if someone's squatting their main day or their primary day at the start of the week and then a secondary day towards the end of the week, because we know most people are probably squatting 2 days a week, are they pushing one day too hard? That's bleeding into the other, or they have some spillover fatigue somewhere. Is their deadlift in the middle that's spilling into it somewhere, or anything kind of like that? Is it happening at a certain week that they've just pushed too much?
Yep.
And then we just hit a wall every time.
Yep.
And that, that's where I said, like, let a block play out, and then start another block, and then if it happens again, that's when you've developed the trend there.
Yep. So when trying to set trends with squatting and stuff, is that where you might use prescribing the load for the first block or second block to see if that creates momentum?
I kind of do it the other way around.
Okay.
I'll start RPE.
Yep.
So we'll start RPE so I can see how a lifter moves.
Yep.
If they're picking the loads, right, if we're starting with RPE, they're picking the loads, they're letting me know where they think their specific RPE is around there, like where they're, because everyone's RPE is kind of individualized to themselves, where they think they can handle this rep range, which gives me the feedback of what percentage range they kind of work well in. So I can then go and look back and see.
Or don't work well in.
Yeah, or don't work well, or they're pushing too hard. So if I start with percentages, sometimes can start too low and not get too high.
Yeah.
Because everyone's different. I think we discussed a few times, like a very technically efficient sumo deadlifter can work
quite high.
Yeah, quite high, like rep out nearly 85-90%. Whereas conventional puller definitely can't. So if we were to do something similar to like each of them, just because it's a deadlift, different results. That's where I start with RPE, and then I figure out, okay, this this week was really up.
Yep.
And then it kind of just went up and up from there.
Yep.
So but before that was kind of slow. So it's like once they kept like hitting this on like a secondary day or something, they started working, let's say a technically efficient sumo deadlifter started working, 78% plus for their reps, started working really well. That's when I've kind of got, like I've got it there. I've noticed that trend, and that's where I know that we can just start a block around there.
Yeah.
So that's when I'll start the next block, when I'll start prescribing percentages rather than RPEs, and just know to start there.
Yeah, and I think one of the big tips to know about that, like what you said at the start first, is you don't know those trends until you've run a few blocks.
Yeah, you don't know anything about anyone till you've ran a few blocks with someone. Like someone can send you off what they've ran before in their programs, but you're going to program differently anyway.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a bit different.
Yep.
But you can read the trends of their performance in what they were doing before quite easily as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the thing, big take home is if you do set percentages early on stuff, you're kind of like boxing the athlete into doing something that you don't know what works or not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's first block with someone's kind of like go for it. That's why it's really hard to get someone that wants to start working with you, and they're like, I've got a comp coming up and stuff.
You there's not much you can do.
Yeah, it's like I don't know enough about you right now, so it's like I'm gonna try my hardest based on what I know. With people with same kind of leverages, same kind of build, same kind of lifting style, but it's gonna be hit and miss.
It is gonna be hit and miss, and you may. What happened to me recently with a lifter I had 8 weeks out is the block probably ran 2 weeks too long. Ended up being good in the end, and ended up being fine. Yeah. But it's like if I knew how long the block length was, then I would have been able to, maybe we would have had a better result. But we just didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, benching. So analysing trends is very different with bench.
Well, bench is it's its own microcycle in itself, right? When I write out a program myself, I'll write kind of the squat, deadlift, accessories for that, like lower body accessories and stuff like that, and then bench fits into that microcycle, right?
Sure does.
It's not just, we don't just lay it out all together.
Yep.
Kind of write bench separately, because a lot of people respond differently to bench. Some people need 1 day, some need 2, some can bench the day before. So the good thing about that is you can also, you can actually develop and, analyze trends a lot quicker with bench.
Yes.
Because you can lay, because frequency is higher now in 2022.
With some people.
With most. Like you're not going to find someone that's benching I don't think less than 3 times a week now. So you can play with things a lot easier. You can have, more than one primary day, more than one single, and you can do things the day before. You can either rest them the day before and not bench them, and do zero upper body work as well. And then you can bench them the day before and see if that assists in, technical efficiency and just if they feel stronger the next day.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one of the things to know with bench trends is, with the microcycle, is some days will never go up.
Yeah.
In terms of intensity or in terms of the percentage of the max that the lifter is working at. So it can be really detrimental to the lifter if they try and put every single day up of the week.
Yeah.
Because, obviously then they'll come in too fatigued for their main day.
And that's also as what an athlete needs to do is they need to see that too.
They need to figure that out, yes.
Yeah. I can come from that side of things is I look at my weeks where I've benched 180, 182 or something, and then I have a look at my down weeks and why that's happening, and it's okay, I've tried to push every day kind of too much for a bit too long now that I need to dial the fuck back. And I need to go back, and I'm going to just go do that week again where I hit 182, 185. And I'm going to do that again and see if that's just where I need to be at. And there's my taper week for bench done.
And that's a really big tip for bench pressers or people that want to get better at their benches. It's really, as an athlete, up to you to figure out what's making your microcycle show up. Because the coach, I'll know, but it's really important that you understand which days to push and which days not to push, and what to PR and what not to PR.
And
how long it's gonna last for.
Have the training data in front of you too. Like myself, I've got it written down. Fill your spreadsheets out, so it makes it easier for the coach to be able to read, to be able to see, to acknowledge. Especially for bench. Because if we notice that you've pushed a certain day harder, it's easy to be like, okay, it didn't have to be done.
I'll try and help them out a little bit by prescribing the loads for a few weeks to see if that helps them to understand. I do that with a fair few of my big benches, be like, hit this on this day, and then it'll show up. And then hopefully that, that helps them, and then we'll talk about it and be like, okay, see this trend in performance when it comes to bench. So now you know how long your bench will last for until you need to dial it back again. And that really works. Have you done that with any of your guys, or do you just kind of talk about it? I'm more, how do you feel on this? Because I've always got more than one primary day at the bench. I'm always like, do you feel better this day or this day? Or I can just see it. I just see that they're stronger on the other day. And that's easy. That just means that when I'm going to taper them, I don't have to change much. I just either put a day before or not. I guess so. The biggest tip that we have with analysing trends is with benches, don't look at the trends over the whole block, then look at the trends weekly with bench press. Because you have to look at the trends weekly, because with squat and bench, obviously a squat and deadlift, you start at a certain percentage of your max, and then you want to end up at a certain percentage of your max, but bench kind of cycles within that. So deloading your bench at the start of a block and then thinking that you're going to PR it at the end of the block doesn't work.
No, we don't really deload bench too much. We do days of bench.
Deload days of bench, not weeks of bench. That's a really big tip, because I've had lifters start with me that have deloaded their bench, and I've asked them why, and they said, I've always done that, because that's been the standard. But it's kind of, once you understand that you don't need to do that, then you can, as an athlete, start analysing the trends of, okay, if I deload this day, what happens to the rest of the week, kind of type thing. If I dial back this day and I just set and forget load, the rest of the week's good. I shouldn't say the word deload. I should say the word just dial back.
You
just 5 kilos, 7 kilos, that's all you need.
Not 2.5.
2.5.
It's not much.
Nah, not 20.
Nah, not at all, no.
Deadlifts. So if we're analysing trends in deadlifts, what's some stuff that we can look at?
Well, it's obviously, we have 2 different deadlifts, right? We have conventional and sumo.
Let's talk about, you talked about sumo before. Let's talk about sumo a little bit more, because it's a bit different.
Okay, so if you're pulling sumo, you're probably pulling twice a week easily. We have different trends in performance. based on where someone responds percentage base wise, you know, I've got some people that will work with 80+% regularly for sets of 7 to 10.
Yep.
They can just do it. And then I've got people that pull sumo that are not like that. Like
Yep.
it's way down.
Yep.
It's down like a conventional lifter.
Yep.
And it's just acknowledging that. That's a lot of leverage and efficiency
I
thing.
was going to say, so leverage and efficiency.
Yeah, but it's also how hard are they pushing their singles? Like, because if someone's, you know, not like super well built leverage wise for a sumo deadlift, and they push their single
Yep.
quite high exertion wise, it's going to be more fatiguing, right?
Yes.
But the top end usually has more. I've found with someone that isn't, you know, more as efficient.
100% agree.
So let's use myself as an example.
Yep.
I'm not very technically efficient. I know how to pull sumo and I'm strong, but like I can't go and hit 95% every week like someone that is technically efficient and
Yep.
well built for it
Yep.
can.
Yep.
But they can only add 5 kilos to their RP fucking 8.
On the platform
Yeah.
as well. Yep.
I got 20 kilos left.
100%.
So it's just analysing that too and
Yep.
acknowledging that.
Yep.
Which is, that just comes from time too.
It just comes from time and working with people, and then beating your head against a brick wall when you've got two different sumo lifters and you go, how come this person can work here and this person can't? And then go, oh, right, okay, it's just generating more fatigue.
Yeah.
It's literally just generating more fatigue. That's the only thing.
Yeah, like when I hit a single and then I back down to about 200 kilos for reps, it's pretty funny.
Can that change too? Can you get, like, not you in specifically because you are you, but can someone become more technically efficient at sumo and then just generate less fatigue? Or do you think it's just always going to be like that?
It's not always going to be, like, I've gotten better.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I hit 250 for 7 last week, which was big.
that's better.
big for me.
Yeah.
And I've hit other things, but if I put straps on and I become a long arm boy, like, fuck. I've repped out some stuff before in straps. I refuse to wear them because I know the difference.
Yeah.
Like, I will not wear straps in training.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed that, but you've probably never seen me have straps on.
Nah.
I don't care. I just grip it and I'll
Hate
just go.
straps.
Yeah, there's too much of discrepancy there.
Huge. I don't think people realise we're getting off track here, but there is a massive discrepancy when you chuck straps on.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. It's hard to tell a hook grip puller to not wear them though, because they're going to pull their thumbs off. But there is a massive discrepancy towards what they actually can do for that amount of reps compared to what they could actually do if they weren't using them.
Yeah.
Because you're not thinking about grip either. You can just get into your legs so much easier.
Yeah. So I guess when we're going back to sumo too, so understanding the differences in the leverages and not marrying just because a sumo lifter, you know, we think that they should be able to do more reps doesn't mean they can do more reps because of their leverages.
Yeah.
So understanding that, and I think what you just said before about top end singles are different for different leverages is bang on 100%. But you won't know that trend until you try it and fail. Yeah, that's it.
And it's also seeing what does someone need, right? You know, we've got people that can respond to having top set and then a lot of volume back off, or like quite higher reps.
Yep.
And then on another day just having quite high intensity.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, I think I've discussed it before, we get like a triple exposure through the week.
Yep.
Rather than just sticking one day like high intensity and then one day as volume. You know, because if we think about bench or like a 3-time squatter or even 2-time squatter, like we have this ability to be able to give someone a triple exposure with only using 2 days.
Yeah.
And you can do that with deadlifts really easily as well, especially sumo.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. It's very different on both days. Can be very different in terms of how you prescribe it. And going back to before, you're not going to know until you fail.
Nah.
Like you literally don't, and that's one thing that I've known with my sumo lifters now is it's okay to not get it right, because they all respond differently to Like, you can have two people that kind of look the same with their strength on paper, but their sumo responds to two completely different ways.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Massively, especially on the secondary day, which is huge. But you don't know that until they don't put anything on their total, or they tell you it feels like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can come out of nowhere too.
100%.
And that's just acknowledging that if that like that's where it goes back to like leave it.
Yep.
And then if it
Let it
happens
play
again,
out. Yep.
then we have a trend. Like
Yep.
trends are something that build over time.
Yep. It's just sometimes it's just a bit shit that there's a competition involved.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Conventional.
Conventional is quite easy, I think.
Yeah, conventional is so much easier to program. Hey.
Yeah. Well, there's also a lot of things that are a lot easier with conventional, right?
Yep.
Like there's that technical part of it that's nowhere near as complex as sumo. It's almost just picking the bar up. So people don't overthink really. They walk up to the bar and they pick it up. So we don't have that kind of, I guess, room for failure. In that. So and then we got bigger people that are lifting quite a significant amount of load only really need to deadlift once.
Yes.
And then
big time with a big drop.
Yeah, with a big drop, and then RDL or something the other day, something easy,
which is submax for most, or building over time.
Yeah, so that's really easy. I find conventional easier to program.
Yep.
I don't have to analyze as much. I just have to make sure that you
don't go too hard.
Don't go too hard, and make sure that it's well enough away from everything that it's kind of by itself.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And I guess the secondary day for conventional is just not to generate too much fatigue.
Yeah.
Practice.
Obviously some people will pull sumo twice. I got a lot of people that pull, conventional twice.
Yeah.
A lot of people still do it, but the second day is purely just load limiting and just moving.
Yeah. It's literally practicing if you just shit at hinging as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about finding trends in rep ranges. Oh, sorry. Differences, we'll go back again. Difference between gender and males and females when it comes to squat, bench, and dead. Are we looking at any differences with the trends there?
Well, in general, females can handle higher intensity.
Yeah.
Higher intensity volume as well, in general, across the board, across all three.
Yep.
And then seeing obviously where that is.
How much it is, yeah.
Yeah, and then we have that with lighter males as well, usually. But it's also different lifting styles as well.
Yeah.
So leverages will definitely play a role in that, in the way that someone squats, benches or deadlifts. And then it's just paying attention to it really.
Yeah.
Everyone's an individual at the end of the day. We have males, females, we have 60 kilo people, we have 120 kilo people, we have 160 kilo people.
Yeah.
But everyone's just an individual, and like when you write a program, you need to understand that, and you should know by now that a smaller person can generally handle more. So it's just like dialing back and starting really low with a bigger person, and you could start higher with with the smaller person, really.
Yeah, so if you've got a larger male, 105 plus, deadlifting twice a week, both higher intensity, over 75%, and they're not getting stronger, that's your trend.
Yeah.
You've just gone too hard. That's like literally it. And the other way around, if you've got a small female only deadlifting once a week with lower intensity, you've not gone hard enough.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about, other than prescribing the actual exercise and looking at how many times a week you're doing it, some other ways you can find trends in performance is rep range, block length, and the percentage of their max that they're working at with load. So if you're trying to find a trend with the rep range, what are some things that we can do first? Obviously, we need to choose a rep range, right?
Yep.
How do you choose your rep range?
Well, you're going to base that straight off when you work with someone, talk to them.
Yeah. What do you like?
A lot of people will be like, I've always found this kind of works.
Yeah. And I'll seriously go with it straight away.
Yeah, you just go with it. And then you can then play with it.
Yep.
When, you get a chance to see if, you can maybe get a little bit more out of someone by changing it a little bit.
Yep.
I'll play with different rep ranges throughout a block sometime.
Yeah, so like going waving up and down?
Kinda. I'll start higher and go lower and see if we get
the
like a
secondary day.
spike
Yeah.
in performance. Yeah.
Yeah.
See if I'll get a spike somewhere.
In the secondary day, so like start 10s, 8s, 6.
Yeah, but I'll do it
fours.
like I'll go two to 3 weeks, 2 to
Yeah.
3 weeks, something like
And
that.
then see which week goes bang.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just trying to find a trend there. That works really well with squats.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really well.
Yeah, so just choose. Ask them what they've worked out, especially if they're a high level lifter or someone who's had good success. So if you get someone or that they've come to you and they've just PR'd their last 3 comps, I wouldn't be changing much at all.
No. I don't know why they leave their coach.
Yeah, difference in opinion. Ask them what do they like, what makes them feel good.
Yeah, like what gets someone ticking,
Yep. I've tried 5s with one of my lifters and she did really well. Then I tried 7s. Straight away, heard her back. She's like, I don't like 7s.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we're going back to 5s.
You fucking 7s all day.
Yeah.
I'll do 7 days of the week. I don't care.
Yeah. So, she was just like straight up, don't like 7s. I just don't like it. I like 5s.
Yeah, well.
My back tells me. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Some people respond differently to volume too.
Yeah.
Like it's just not something that they like doing.
Yep.
And if they don't like doing it,
They ain't gonna do it.
they're gonna say like my back's saying it's not doing like that is telling me, but it's like you just don't like doing it and you're finding a reason. Like it's your body responding to you not actually wanting to do it in general.
100%. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. Your body responds to like how you're feeling.
Yep.
And I love 7s, even when I'm fucking sore. And I hate 4s and 5s.
Why? Because it's the higher percentage. You don't like working in the higher percentage?
No, I just don't like it.
Okay.
I don't know. I still do them.
Yeah.
I do it every week,
Yeah.
but I just don't like it.
It's so weird, isn't it? Like, it's, if you didn't know, you'd at first think it's just a number. But then if you're putting load on your back, you got to enjoy what you're doing kind of thing. Or know that it's going to make you stronger.
Yeah, and I think because I can do the same amount for 7 that I do for 4 or 5 anyway.
Oh, right.
So I just would rather do it for more.
Fair enough.
I don't know. But I usually do the 4s or 5s or 6s or something after I do a single or a top step.
Yeah. So more of a primary day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other than asking the athlete, what rep range do you like to do? What are some other ways that we can find the rep ranges that work for them other than ascending over a block or descending over a block? Anything else?
Not really. Like,
Just trial and error.
yeah, it's trial and error. You gotta stick with something.
Yep.
Or be like changing it to see, and then like seeing when the spike is, because there's always going to be a spike, and the spike can go either way.
Yeah.
It can be up or down.
Yeah.
And if you start to notice, bang, we're going down. Okay, this person needs to be on that higher end. If we just keep going up in performance-wise on like a primary day, if you're just adjusting the secondary day, then what's happening is, they need less on that secondary day in terms of the reps that they need and the volume that they need, but they probably need more intensity through the week.
Yeah.
So if you're noticing that, then you have that answer as well. So as soon as this starts to come down, the repetitions, the volume kind of comes down. Intensity goes up because obviously load on the bar is going up and repetitions coming down. Primary day is starting to explode. It's like, okay, they respond well there in the 5s.
Yeah.
Rather than in like 8, 10.
Yep. Rep ranges for bench, because they vary a lot.
Oh yeah.
A lot over a course of a week. What are some ways that we can find, or have you got any do you use any rules with your rep ranges? Obviously leverages.
Leverages. Arch, technical efficiency as well, like how much load they can lift. Also, like there's a lot of things.
Huge.
I have, like, myself right now, I'm in a really weird spot where I'll bench 2 days in a row, like, and one day's a lot. I'm doing like fives and then Larsons. Like, I literally have like 8 to 10 sets on one day. I do another day that's like 3 sets and then do a whole upper body workout. And my next day after that is my strongest day at the moment. So I'm benching two big bench days, or relatively big bench days, and then have a single. And I also have a single on the second day too. And then on the third day is my strongest at the moment.
And that's changed over time?
Yeah, because it used to just always be Saturday. It used to just be like after I do a little bit of bench on a Friday, I'd be strongest on a Saturday. But now it's like, fuck, do I got to do a lot more? Like why is Wednesday showing up right now?
Is it because you think you're becoming more technically proficient? So the day before, when you're really dialing in the technique with more sets?
Potentially it could be. There can be multiple factors, but it's just strange because I'm doing a lot of upper body stuff too. Like, I'm slogging myself.
Yeah.
And then I'm good.
Weird. So you'll sit back after Nats and try and figure out why?
Yeah, or
just let it play out?
We'll just let it play out. We've ran 2 different styles on my day before. Like, I benched the day before, obviously.
Yep.
We've ran 2 different styles where I've gone just singles.
Yep.
It's generally pretty good. And we've done a 3x8 before my Saturday as well.
Right, yeah.
And I've had the same results both times.
Right, so you don't know which one works yet?
They both work.
Oh.
We know that they both work. I can run either and I get the same result. But at the moment I'm doing a single and then 3x8 on a Tuesday, and then on a Wednesday I'm my strongest at the moment.
Yeah, right. There you go.
So maybe I need both.
Hey?
Maybe I need both.
Maybe you need both, or do you think that might be a sign that you could maybe taper your bench a little bit more before the next comp?
Nah.
Nah?
Nah. Won't taper it more because I'm
so
doing
you're
more at the moment.
Sorry, I lie. Because you're doing more.
You mean I could do more potentially?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd look pretty funny though. Doing 8s the day before competition.
Oh, well.
I don't give a shit. If it works, it works.
Yeah. So with bench, we've got like technical proficiency, leverage, so range will dictate how many reps that you can perform.
Yep.
Anything else? Just finding, like I got some lifters, if their Monday 7s goes up, I know, like if they go up over with bench press, if they build their Monday 7s and it goes up consistently every week, I know that there's a PR coming on Saturday.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
That's like me with my squat.
Yeah. Definitely.
If my start of the week my squats are good, like
yeah, you're on.
The end of the week's gonna be fucking real good.
Yeah. So understanding that, that works. That pretty much works with that. Does work with squat and bench. Deadlift's a bit different. It kind of builds a bit slower.
Yeah, it's because we don't do as much deadlifting, right?
Yeah.
And it's easier to build fatigue through a deadlift.
Yes.
So it's harder to be like, this day was good, so that means that this day is going to be better. It's like, no, you need to build momentum.
Yeah, exactly, because you got a whole another 7 days.
Yeah.
Anything else with bench with rep ranges?
Nah, just work with all of them, really.
Yeah, work with all of them.
I found like my guys that don't bench full max width, full tech efficiency, longer ROM, do a lot less, bigger low drops.
Shit tons.
Way bigger low drops.
Yep.
I don't drop like 5%, I drop like 15%.
Yeah, I may even start with those guys with a block of just RPEs to see how big low drops they select for themselves.
Yeah. Just stuff like that. That's about it.
Yeah. Block length, we've gone over this heaps, but finding a trend with block length.
It's
tricky, but it's not. It is, but it isn't, and it's a skill.
Yeah. It's obviously, it develops over time.
Yep.
Acknowledging those trends and seeing when, this drop in performance is, and then being reactive at the same time.
Yep.
Being able to be reactive as well. So noticing that trend, seeing that trend over, a number of blocks, and then being like, okay, this is, I've looked at this now, and, once we hit this week, we're not going to do another week next time because it's just going to be shit.
Yeah, and I think the thing to understand is some lifters don't have set block lengths. Some lifters I need to be reactive with all of the time.
Yes, yeah, there's heaps of people are reactive.
Yeah, more of my females are like that, where I'm more reactive with the block lengths because of just factors within their own lifting, or you know how hard they're pushing, or stuff like that. And then some of the lifters once they hit 5 weeks, they're fucked. Or 6 weeks
certainly.
or 7 weeks.
Certainly.
You know what I mean? So like, you know, they're kind of very set within their block length. So it's really important, I find, when you're working with someone, not to get married to a block length straight away, and make sure that you keep running it all of the time.
Yeah, the biggest thing, like, you got to be proactive though if you've got a meet prep coming up.
Yes.
You need to know, like, kind of where they land.
Yeah.
So someone lands within a range, right?
Yep.
So they'll land between, like, you know, 4 to 8 weeks or something like that.
Yep.
And if you know that they land somewhere in that range,
Yep.
but it's gonna, you know, comp schedule and calendar's gonna come into play.
Yep. You'll need to do
You'll need to not really deload, just
Wave
like
it.
just pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
Just so you're not like just building fatigue for far too long, and
Yeah.
they're just gonna come in fucked 2 weeks out.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's really, you know, easier then to kind of just keep building momentum.
Yeah, definitely. And those are the things that you can play when it comes to block length. So you don't need to be married to the 4 weeks, 3 weeks up, 1 week down type thing, or 4 weeks up, 1 week down. Is like you can play with pulling back and pushing within a block itself to, you know, you might prescribe a couple of days or just say to the lifter, we don't need to push this week.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Last one, percentage of max. Again, trial and error.
Yeah, trial and error. Work your way towards it.
Yep.
Figure it out.
Yep.
You know, obviously acknowledge and develop the trends.
Yep.
See what's happening. See how someone's responding specifically when they're working within a certain percent of their 1RM. You know, with their volume work or even like their higher intensity volume work as well. Their back down stuff that's still pretty hard.
Yep.
They might need to be pushing that. They might
need to change it when they get stronger.
Yeah, and then it might actually have to be like really sub-maxing. I had this conversation with someone not long ago. Like one of my best blocks that I figured out with my squat was I don't need to push on my primary day my back down stuff as hard as I do on my secondary day. Like I'll do like, you know, I'd hit like 270 or something for a single, and then I'd hit like 250 for fives or something, because I know I can do that, and I know it's probably within the RPE, but I actually respond better if I only take like 220.
Yeah, and you don't know that until you've done a fuck ton of blocks and you've got that in front of your face, or you've felt that yourself.
Yeah, it was just we just went a block where it was like, you know, I was reporting being a bit tired. And we decided we'd percentage base that back downs, and it was also to let Monday really, or my secondary day really be able to thrive off that, so I can push that volume harder, because we know that I respond really well there. But if I was pushing that volume towards the end of the week too, and not just a single, it was always making my secondary day a bit harder too. So we just went with that, and then my single, my primary stuff actually started blowing up really well. So I was like, now I know even when it's RPE based, I'm just going to leave it. Yeah,
exactly. And do you feel that changes over time based on how strong you get?
Yeah, for sure. Like I wouldn't have got to where I got to without pushing as fucking hard as I did for so long.
I think I can use Sam as an example in this one. So like this prep and performance will be the best he's had, but yet looking forward, I know where I'm going to be changing it with percentage drops to get to that 360, 370 deadlift. Do you get what I mean? So those percentage drops are going to have to be higher. Because there's no way if he's going to pull 370 that he's only going to be able to back down to 320 for sets of 6.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fucked. Do you know what I'm saying? So that means I need to change the percentage drop in that instance moving forward.
Yeah, well, that's where you... I say this to people all the time, right? So when someone reaches this new goal, this new milestone, this PR, they've hit it.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet, we've hit it. And they will try and hit it again.
Yep.
They try and hit it again. I say, take a step back.
Yep.
Okay, and remember how you got there, right?
Yep.
And that's me trying to teach them to acknowledge that trend is you got there, right? You hit this PR, this milestone, this whatever it is, bench or something, by only lifting this much for so long, right? And then on this day we got there.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you can go back and realize that, you do all this low threshold work and that built up to this very, very good outcome, you don't need to push yourself there all the time.
Well, yesterday was the second time 350 happened, and that was the easier block.
This one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Started lighter.
Yeah.
Yep. Started 20 kilos lighter and ended up at the same.
Yeah.
So that was really good to see that you can still do that to get to the same result kind of thing. And it was easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not as much built up fatigue.
Yeah.
Right. So like when someone hits a milestone lift, they think they should be able to
do it all the time.
Do it, or they're naturally stronger, and their other weeks leading into it should naturally go up. Which yes, they should.
Yeah.
But not by how much some people do it.
No.
Right. It doesn't mean that you are 10 kilos stronger immediately at the start of the block. Maybe 2.5. You can chip what you did at the start of the block before and get the same outcome.
Yeah.
Just remember how you got to that outcome.
Yeah, definitely. That's analysing your own trends. Cool. Percentage max, obviously, for squats is very varied based on leverages and based on what works. Bench, again, same thing. Deadlifts, conventional and sumo, different, way different.
Conventional is going to be lower, way lower.
Way lower. Shit tons. Mm-hmm. I find... a lot of the times people push their conventional way too hard.
Yeah.
Way too hard. Especially the first back down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
And understanding trying to find that percentage doesn't work because you end up hitting a bit of a brick wall with it.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Get a bit shaky.
Yeah. It's shaky. External factors. Okay, so this can really fuck things sometimes.
This isn't something that you can really analyze as a trend.
No,
right?
So how can external factors really, fuck with trend, like trying to read performance trends?
Okay, so it can depend how...
Let's talk about shift workers.
Shift workers is easy. That's an easy external factor because that's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's a job. That's something that's easy to kind of deal with.
Yeah.
That you can, you can just be like, let's do this. Let's... I think we discussed it before. Let's have your main days when you're not working a ridiculous amount of hours overnight and not sleeping or something. We'll do it that way. That's an easy one because that's just a lifestyle external factor that you can't change, right?
Yeah.
It's the external factors that pop up out of nowhere that are the hard ones.
Yeah, because you could adapt to shift work.
Yeah, your body is adapted.
You can't adapt to having an assignment due.
No. Those external factors, that's not trends in performance or anything like that. That's just acknowledging that
things are going to feel shit for a few weeks.
Yeah, or it's going to be harder, or your mental capacity is going to be taken up somewhere else. Like your brain's elsewhere.
Yeah.
But you need to keep doing the work to be able to express that when you're free again.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. You still do, and that's the thing for the athlete to realise. You're still doing the work.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what it is.
You're not getting weaker.
Stimulus is still stimulus.
Yeah. You just feel shitter.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you say to your guys, like students, in that time? Like, do you say just do the work, just get through it, everything is exactly the same, you'll still get the same result type thing? No,
they usually tell me. They're just like, oh, I'm a bit tired because I've got assignments due or something. And I'm just like, okay, just, dial back if you've got to dial back. Hit the RP.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll be fine.
So you're okay for them to dial back at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter when it is.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. I guess the last thing that we're going to talk about is how these performance trends change over time. We've already just said it before. The stronger you get, the more fatigue you're going to generate.
Yeah.
So that's when it needs to change.
You're
That's simple
moving
as
more
that.
load.
Once you move more load, if you're someone who, you know, I'm just going to use Sam as a great example for his deadlift right now because, you know, it's been the same for the last 2 years, right? But it's getting to this point now where it's like this 20% drop's probably not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Or probably not enough. Needs to be more now because if it's not, like, you know, the fatigue will generate too quickly throughout the block.
Yeah, so for you, like, what you can do is you can look at the trend in that, right?
Yep.
And have a look at the percentage of his current 1RM that he's lifting at.
Yep.
And then when he has it like a new 1RM, just work off that old percent. Rather than drop off the single that he's doing, just acknowledge the percentage range that he was working at and prescribe the load all the time.
Yeah.
So that's how you can go back and get all that data and just
We're
put
kind of
that
doing
there.
that anyway. We just chat.
Yeah,
Every week. What are you going to hit? Okay, cool. That sounds good.
Yeah, we just fucking have a chat.
Yeah.
Well, that's communication, really.
That's communication.
Communication is finding trends.
Yeah.
That is one of the easiest way to find a trend is just communicate.
Yeah. Yeah, and then once you've got that communication done, and this is why communication is so good, and this is why reactive programming is so good, then the athlete knows how to analyze their own trends, and then they end up doing it for themselves.
Yeah.
And then you just go, okay, cool, I'm just going to do this. And then the athlete will tell you, this feels good this day, can you do this here? Great.
Yeah. And you go, can you do it? Can you write your program for me?
Yeah. Well, it's good though.
No,
It's awesome. It's awesome when an athlete gets to the point where you've got the communication down so pat that they actually could write their own program.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
You could write your own program.
I pretty much do. Yeah. But
Sam could write his own program.
yeah, it's easy.
All right. Okay. So we hope that we went over enough with that. I think we did actually. We went over heaps.
Covered quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've got any questions with anything about trends and performance, you can shoot Steve or I a message. But thanks for listening.
Thank you.